In this tutorial, I want to show you how you can use JavaScript to do the validation, because I don't want to just rely on something like validator. You should know how to use JavaScript functions as well to do the validation. So I thought, why not use JavaScript validation on the login page? So let's get started with this. Before we get started, I just wanted to quickly go over some things. One, I changed this from input field to input fields s, and everything else is the same. I'm using a use state with this, and the use state to get our error messages and add them into the state. This is to get the input whenever it changes and add that into the input fields. Okay, and this is the form submit function that will check the validation, and it's on the on submit event handler. See, and the input change is using the on change event handler to add to detect the change and trigger this function, which will just store data into the input fields. Okay, and I explained this more in the sign up tutorial. So first thing we're gonna check is the is empty. Okay, as in, is our input empty? Okay, we're gonna check that first. So to do that, first we're gonna use a for loop, okay, to go into each field. To go into our state, actually, we're gonna check our state to see if the values are empty or not. So we're gonna use a for loop. For, I'm gonna say, I'm gonna grab this, okay, and I'm gonna create a variable let, and I'm gonna add in a name for our variable. Input field, okay, and then I'm gonna say in. So I'm saying for each input field in our input fields, I want to do something. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to check if the input field dot length is greater than, actually no, I'm going to check less than or equal to 0. So by this I'm saying if it is less than or equal to 0, then I want you to add a error into this. Okay, I'm gonna say message dot push to add something into our array, and then I'm gonna add in the message. I'm gonna say I'm gonna name the input field. Okay, input field, I'm gonna say dot character at. Okay, and then what you can do is do two uppercase. Okay, uppercase, and oh, let me just change this and make this case. Okay, I don't know why I'm making mistakes today. And then you just need to add this. I'm gonna add some spaces, and I'm gonna say dot slice. Okay, you could use slice or substring, whichever you want, but I'm gonna use slice. So what this is doing is it's cutting off like first letter. It's starting from the first letter actually. It's cutting off the first letter and it's keeping the rest. So I'm basically here, I'm just saying that this is where you need to begin from the first letter, and it goes from 0 to whatever number is in the letters. Okay, so for example, if it's let's say email, right, this would be considered 0 and this is considered 1. Okay, so it's working like that. So, and then I'm saying dot to lowercase. Okay, and I'm gonna add a space here. Okay, and now it will just add, okay, this field is empty. Okay, so this is how this works. This is going to check each instance, and I'm just gonna do a console log 2. It's gonna check each input field, and I'm gonna do a console log, and I'm gonna show if we're getting the input field or not. Okay, so I'm just gonna save this, and I'm gonna open up console. Okay, so I'm gonna submit, and I'm getting the email and password. Okay, so it's checking in this, so it's pushed this in, and the reason this didn't trigger is because I'm going to this value right here is set to true by default, and we want it to be false to trigger our error messages. Okay, so you just, if any of this is, if the input field is less than or equal to 0, which basically means it's empty, I just want to trigger is valid and change the boolean value to false. Okay, I'm getting the input field. Okay, and what I needed to do was, sorry, I needed to add it like this, so that what I need to do here was get the input field and go into each of these to get the values. So this is how you do that. I'm going into my fields, into the use state basically, and I'm getting these, right? But to get the values, I have to add this. Okay, and this is the names. So this is basically what is happening here is, I'm just going to show you what's happening here. And what's happening here, it's basically doing, on the first try, it's going to be like email, so that I get this, and in the next one, because this is a for loop, it's going to get the password. So this is how this is working. Just want to explain that. So now it'll work, and if I trigger this now, as you can see, the email field is empty, the password field is empty, I'm getting the errors. So I hope you like this tutorial, like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.